Today then, we're going to talk about, I think this will be in way. I'm going to present a little bit about the application and development benchmarking certification that I was one of the persons creating within IFPUG. And let's continue then. Who am I then? Pierre Almen is my name, and I've been working with software metrics for some decades back. I was a project leader and developer within IBM first, and then I started working with at a benchmarking company. I was working with benchmarking for 10 years, and then with my own company since 2008. And I've been certified. The first time I got certified for function point specialist was 1994. And I've been counting function points for many companies in the Nordic region and some other countries as well. And I've been within IFPUG for a long time, and I've been committee chair from 2008 and board member a couple of years, 2014 to 17. And I was a board member within IFPUG, as we call ISBC, from 2017, and vice president, and now I'm president since 2019. IFPUG then. IFPUG is a non-profit organization established in 1987. And that was the first year when I started counting function points. It was a coincidence. Within IFPUG, we have three different ways and measuring software. We have the traditional function point analysis. We have also a SNAP that can measure the non-functional requirements, because it's with function point analysis we are measuring the functional requirements. And then now we have also a lightweight functional software measurement version that is called simple function points. And we have within IFPUG we have certifications of function point specialists and or practitioner, and certified SNAP specialist and practitioner. And we have also created a new type of certification about application development and maintenance benchmarking, which I will go into and present soon here. But IFPUG itself then, they have annual international conferences and workshops. The latest was in Madrid, beginning of October this year. And we are now working with planning for next year. And there are a lot of committees and task groups, and many countries that have their own representatives. And we are publishing information about software measurement and the IFPUG itself in a publication that is called Metric Views that you can find on the website. And also you can see webinars and publications on the website under the Learning Center. And if you are a member within IFPUG, you get discount on IFPUG's products. And IFPUG now have a repository with about 12,000 application development projects and approximately 2,000 applications, data about them. And IFPUG they have some partners and relying on the partners. And we have some gold partners from China, Finland, Italy, USA, and Netherlands. And those are the non-profit partners, organizations like IFPUG, all of them there. And then we have the gold partners for profit. They are doing benchmarking, etc., and other kind of services for the IT version. Gallup in US, Leda Management Consulting in Spain, and Unison, that is a global actor. And then we have some bronze partners, Cosmic, MCIS in Japan, and Euro Project Office in Switzerland. And why is it interesting to do some benchmarking then? The status of software development nowadays is still that more than 50% of the IT budget is spent on the application development and maintenance, on the projects itself. And those projects, most of them, they overrun the budget. They are missing the delivery dates, and they're also delivering with bad quality. And there are also projects that are cancelled very late in the development cycle. And so a lot of money is wasted, and business are negatively affected due to that. So totally you can say this process and way of working is still an immature business. We need to be better. You can see the managers, if you're coming to help them, don't confuse me with facts. I'm trying to make a decision, but if they're not using metrics, you're just a person with a different opinion. You need metrics to do good decisions. And benchmarking, you can use that for different purposes. One is management and control of the development that you have within your department. You perhaps would like and decrease cost and also increase the quality and get more satisfied customers and get things out to the market much faster, and can also have it for planning of the resource and skills and prioritizing among your projects, which should you do first and which should you wait with. And also around outsourcing, you need to have control over the outsourcing activities that you have. Then you can use benchmarking. And you can also use it for communication, both internally and external. I've been working with benchmarking at the big financial company here in the Nordic area, and they use it for internal communication as well, and to keep the people within the IT shop aware of if they did some changes, did it get some effect or not. And of course, when you estimate your projects, you can use benchmarking for that and see how are the other companies doing, and get some information from that. And it can also, if you have a new project, a new application created by a project, how will that cost when you do the maintenance of it? And you can also use it for effort predictions. How many people should work with this application when it goes in production? And you can use it for decision making, to select the different methods and tools, which one is the best one for you. And you can use it when you should decide, should we do this project or not? And around outsourcing, is it good to do the outsourcing? What is the cost to do it in-house? And what will it be if I outsource it? Or if you should buy a already created application what will that cost? And you can compare it. What will it cost if you do it by yourself? There are a lot of reasons why you should use benchmarking. And just a short view of the process. Start with establishing of the terms and reference. And then you can go to the service scoping and mapping. And you should try to have an application development and maintenance model so you can normalize if you're doing some benchmarking. What do you have within your IT shop so you can compare apples with apples? And then you can start collecting and validate the data. And I think just collecting and validating the data is a crucial part of this process. When I was working with benchmark at the benchmarking company, I spent a lot of time validating the data that was sent to me from the different clients. And it's easy to get data that is where some data is crap and some data needs to be questioned and perhaps get new data from the company that is going to be benchmarked. So you need to spend a lot of time in this validation process. And when you have good data, then you can start doing the analysis and come up with some draft results and discuss that with the company that is asking for this service. And it could be external companies, or it could also be internal. You can have different departments that are doing that are creating or updating with new projects, so you can compare them. You can have perhaps different shops in different cities or different countries if you are an international company. That's how I started using function points within IBM when I was working there in the 80s, when we compared what we produced here in Sweden at the IT shop where I was working with IT shops in other countries. And then when you have gone through the draft results with the manager that wants this information, then you can create the final results and also recommendation based on what you have found. And if you look at a little bit deeper down in the process, then you collect quantitative data like size that could be measured with using function points, whatever, if it's IFPUG function points or NESMA function points or FISMA function points or whatever. And could also be for the non-functional requirements when you're using SNAP or some other method. Then you have effort that you should try to find and look at the duration of the projects and the defects and costs and user satisfaction. But you also should try to find all the qualitative data, like which type of platform is it, which application type is it, business type, process and methods, competencies and staffing, etc. Because the data for these, they are influencing factors that could influence the performance that you get with the quantitative data. And then when you combine that, you can get a baseline performance for this project. And based on that, you can do the analysis and come up with improvement potentials and also identify the best practices that you have. Within IFPUG, we are a couple of people there. We decided that we should try to create an application development and maintenance benchmarking certification. because IT organizations, they have to focus on appropriate goals and compare their level of performance against the industry. And then they should use very good, reputable quantity or good quality of benchmarking data. And the certification program that we created, it's a kind of method for ensuring that the service provider of this type of bench of service, that they are meeting the necessary requirements to do an benchmark analysis. And we needed some good base to stand on when we created this certification. And there is an ISO IEC standard that's called 29155 that is really in detail describing all the process that are within benchmarking of application development and maintenance. And it looks like this. It's divided in 4 parts. The concepts and definitions in part 1. Then you have part 2, the requirements for the benchmarking. And then part 3, you have the guidance for the reporting. And part 4, you have the reports, the requirements and guidance for the data collection and maintenance. And the team that created this was Pekka Forselius from FISMA. And unfortunately, Pekka died earlier this year, and I've been knowing him, and he was a very close friend to me, and it was very sad to get that information. We've had the meeting within IFPUG just 1 week before I got that notice, that information. And it was very sad to hear that. We had also Carol Deckers from IFPUG and Jackie Takahashi from the Japan Function Point User Group that were creating this very detailed description of application development and benchmarking certification. And all 3 organizations, they are gold partners, or were at that time gold partners of IFPUG. So it was a little bit of IFPUG work as well, and not only these individuals. And the benefits of doing this benchmarking certification is you can achieve a really best-in-class corporate level benchmarking qualification. And using this standard that we have, you can get a very qualified standard for all the requirement, guidelines, and qualification that is needed for application development and maintenance benchmarking. So you can get a consistent approach then, used by both benchmarking consultancy companies and software suppliers. That's very important. And you get a measure and ability and quality of the benchmarking process. And as I said, it's very detailed information in this ISO IEC standard. But when you're doing this certification, if you would like to do it, and remember, you don't need to be a supplier of benchmarking. It could be you can use this and do it for internally if you would like to have certification in your company. because then all managers will know that you're doing it the same way, so you can rely on the result that you get from this benchmarking of these processes, of these projects that you're looking at. But to be certified, you have to be an IFPUG corporate member. You should have done at least 3 benchmark studies the last 3 years. And you should also provide some contact information from a couple of internal or external clients that have done benchmark for during the last 5 years. So we can check with them if we have any questions when we're looking at information that is sent to us. This certification is built up by 2 different products. The first one is the certification application, and it's a formal application where you fill in some information about your company, etc. And you have to accept code of ethics, and there is a disclaimer also. Then the main part is the checklist. It is questionnaire that the candidate company, the supplier, is using for the certification. And they can see there are a lot of questions, and then evidence descriptions that should be sent to us for so we can have a look and see if we are fulfilling the requirements for this certification. And this checklist is, there are 14 different questions, and they are grouped in 3 different groups. It's about the requirements when you're going to start a benchmarking. And then the main part, the execution, when you're doing the benchmark of the data from the client and checking that against the benchmark repository that you have. And then how to do what the requirements for the outcomes, the reports that you should create to the company that is being benchmarked. And within the requirements phase, the first phase, there are 4 different questions, and they are looking at the planning and analytics to be used, the data quality, and the defined measures that you're going to have. The next one, the biggest part of this certification is about the execution questions. And then we are asking for how do you do the data extractions? How do you update the database, the repository that you're using for benchmarking? What is the data quality of the benchmark data? And the data selection, how do you select the data from this repository that you're using? And here we have six of the 7 questions that we have within the execution phase. And they are categorized in 2 different ways, the regular questions and the essential questions. I will come back how we are using that. So we're asking for how does a benchmarking service provider obtain the data from the client? How do they select the relevant data from their benchmarking repository? How do you ensure that the quality of the data that are updating the benchmarking repository? How are you selecting the right kind of data for the benchmark that you're doing? And what kind of functional size measurement method are you using? And also, we're asking for how recent is the data in the benchmarking repository that you're using. And those that are, when we're looking at the benchmarking repository, if you don't have your own repository, you can use the IFPUG repository. And as I said from the beginning, you can buy that data with a great discount if you are an IFPUG member, or if you're a member of someone of the other gold partners within IFPUG. Then the last process is about creating the information that will be sent to the one that is asking for the benchmarking. So there are 3 outcome questions, and they are focusing on the results and what kind of reporting tools and techniques and applied analytics that you're using. As I said just recently, there are 2 different types of questions. Some are essential, they are with high priority, and then the regular questions. And each of these questions, they can be assessed as fully achieved, partially achieved, or not achieved. And the points are based on the type of question, if it's essential or regular, and the level of achievement, if it's fully achieved, partially achieved, or not achieved. And if you have an essential question, you're not allowed to get a not achieved rating on that, then the certification will be disqualified. So you will at least need to have partially achieved on these essential questions. And for each question, we get a number of points, depending on if it's fully achieved, partially achieved, or not achieved, and which type of question it is. And the maximum number of points that they can get is 270. And to be certified, you need to have 80% of the maximum, which is 216 points, and without disqualifiers on the essential questions. And this certification, it is valid for 3 years, and you should be an IFPUG corporate member during that time. And if you should fail when you do the assessment, and you can reapply for the certification at a 50% discount rate within 6 months, if there are some information that you need to gather and that you didn't have from the beginning. And we also now have, because it's valid for 3 years, so we have created a recertification process, and that is looking at the part of these 14 questions that we had for the full certification. So it's easy. When you have been certified, it's easy to be qualified for the recertification, because it needs to be a lot of proof that you should send to us, and we have to spend a lot of time going through this. And if you can show that you have a good process and etc. within your company when you're doing the benchmarking, you don't need to send all the data once again. So that concludes my presentation about this benchmarking certification and about this ISO ISE method that it's based on. So if you have any questions, please come with that in the chat. Let's see if I have to stop sharing them and then see if I have any questions in the chat then. Or I can also you can just activate your microphone if you have a question.
Hello.
Okay, we have a question there. Yeah.
Hear me?
Carol.
Hello, you can hear me?
Yeah.
I work for an automotive company, for software estimation.
Yeah.
We still feel a lack of data from cosmic function point perspective, because we have lots of real-time operating systems, and IFPUG share of data on cosmic function point is I think below 1%.
Yeah.
So is there any plan for collecting the data on cosmic function points with automotive or embedded perspective? Because that area is growing, and I don't know how we can make it more effective for especially an automotive sector benefit with this data.
Yeah. Of course, you can use IFPUG function points or NESMA function point on the automotive area as well. And if you look at the IFPUG website, presentations from the conference that we had in Madrid in October, there were presentations just about automotive sector. So you can go there and you can listen to that presentation that they had there. But if we, in detail, if we should talk about cosmic function points, then and it's the same as for NESMA function points and IFPUG function points and FISMA function points. We are going out to our gold members and asking them to send data. And it's also you don't need, you can do it by yourself. Every person that have data about a project, they can send data to the IFPUG's database, and then they will for free get a comparison against similar projects in the database. But we are always looking at and asking our members to help us to send data to IFPUG. And that is something we are planning to do once again, and we were going to have a webinar about how to send data to us and how to use the repository. So we will have a webinar about that beginning of next year.
Thank you so much. Yeah. No, it doesn't matter it's cosmic thing, but the automotive sector is very huge in terms of software.
Yeah.
So we're looking, how the practice has been happening in software development in this sector, especially people are submitting the projects.
Yeah. I know it's because I'm from a country where they are producing cars, etc. And I know how delayed they have been with new types of cars that within the EV sector, the electrical vehicles, when they have been delayed for 1 year just because of the problems that they have within software development. So it's I really understand why you have this question. So
okay, no,
that's
thank you. I'm looking forward for it. Yes. Yeah. Thank you so
much. Let's go back and see in the chat. Then we had. Let's see if it was the first one we had question was from Carol there, yeah. Do we have advice about how to normalize the data if you're using multiple sources of benchmarking data? Yeah, if the benchmarking data are following the standards that there should be, then it shouldn't be any problems to normalize that data. But if you have data from different sources, then of course you have to look at the quality of the data and see if it shows different metrics like productivity for similar types of projects in the different sources. Then you have to think about that and analyze why does it differs. But that's a little bit, when I was working with a benchmarking company, we had our own benchmarking repository with like IFPUG, we have more than 10,000, we had 20,000 or 30,000 or something like that projects within that. And it's so important, as I said in the presentation, about verifying the data that you get to the repository and make sure that the data is really of high quality. So that's why I said I spent a lot of time just doing this verifying of the data. And we have one person that are doing this for IFPUG, checking the data that is coming there. And he's been working now for several years doing the same. So it will be consistent done all the data that is sent to IFPUG, especially all the data that is sent the last 5, 6, 7, 8 years or something like that. So let's see if we have any more questions. You can turn on your microphone if you have any more questions. And please get into the IFPUG's website, and you can find a spreadsheet that could be used to send the data to IFPUG. And as I said, you will get a discount. First of all, you will get a free comparison of your project versus projects in the database. And then if you're interested in the repository itself, if you're a member of any of these gold members that we have in IFPUG, you will get a good discount on the data. And the data itself, the repository, I think is very cheap to buy for a company. If you compare to, if you go into a benchmarking supplier, then you have to pay much higher for the data that they're using. So I think it's very valuable and of high quality and very useful to have.
Pierre, this is Carol. I was just going to respond to Manoj. Hopefully I said your first name properly. And that is that IFPUGs and IFPUG and COSMIC do not ourselves collect the data. So if you're looking for more automotive real-time that you want collected in COSMIC function points, please encourage your colleagues, your friends, your peers to submit their data, because it's, the database is set up It's ready to accept the data, to scrub the data, make sure it's high quality data. But unless people and unless projects and organizations step forward and say, here's our cosmic results, we're not going to, it'll be just a skeleton. So we can do as much as we can to encourage people to submit. But if people don't submit, or in some cases they say, oh, our data is private, it'll be blinded. You won't be able to go and get your particular project back out. But it would be really great if you can do some of the proselytizing and actually get your colleagues to start submitting that data and the importance of having good data.
And remember, and that's what we will try to do from IFPUG, going out and asking people to send the data. And that's why we would like to have a webinar showing how could you do that and what the result when you have done that. And if you buy the repository, then you can see how it's built up and what you can get out of it. And let's say something else I was going to say. Yeah, and it's really important, as you said, if no one is sending the data here, it's you cannot just get something. You have to give something also. And so that's how it is built up. But it's, one thing that is very important. The data, when it's shown there in the repository, it's anonymous. You can't find who has sent the data. So so that's very good. You don't have
just want to mention, just want to mention one point, while we talk to internally, as I'm part of one of the automotive OEM, and we do lots of sourcing from big vendors, lots of software. But when we talk to them about the sizing or estimation process they use for their own purpose, they are not in a practice right now. They do within their own judgment right now. When we ask them which method you follow, doesn't matter cosmic, IFPUG, or to do that. So they are right now in a mode of having their own judgment numbers. Which creates a big problem for us to bring them into a forum for discussion that these are your size and this is your efforts, and there's a difference how you quote and how we estimate. So the big problem is to publicize this in automotive sector, that this is an effective tool, this is an effective method to bring your own efficiency first, leave about your customers. This will bring your own efficiency of how you organize your projects and how do you manage among different people. So that awareness is not there.
If you don't share, you can't learn from others. Everyone have to share information, and that's what they're doing in the automotive sector with other parts of these processes that you have there. When you're building cars, etc., they are sharing information, and so I'm in a committee within IFPUG that is called Business Applications Committee, and we are creating a survey now for CXOs to send out to try to get information from them and asking them what kind of metrics are you using, or using any, and try to encourage them to use metrics when they're doing their decisions. They should rely on facts and not on just putting up the finger like that.
I understand. Yes. Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much. And we'll all together see how we can bring this into automotive sector as a big database. That helps for the efficiency.
As I said, we had one from China attending here, and I was down in China in August and presenting at a big IT conference there. and we're talking about benchmarking. So we're looking for getting data from China as well, from companies down there. So we can share with them and they can share with us. So we
One
can
other idea,
help each other. Yeah.
Pierre, another idea is if there are conferences or associations or even journals within the automotive sector, they don't know anything about ice bags, and they may not know anything about function points of any flavor.
Yeah.
So if there's an opportunity to speak at a PMI, for example, Project Management Institute, or the Association for Project Management, any of those types of organizations that have conferences or webinars, Pierre does webinars, I do webinars, Charlie Tishner does webinars, other people do webinars where we freely give up our time to spread the word of functional size and of doing software estimation the correct way, rather than just taking two numbers and multiplying them together. So actually providing something professional. So if you know of journals or of associations or contacts, and you can connect some of us. I'm in the ISO standards world. And so I chair the industry standards committee. But any of us would be happy to go to a conference, to write a paper, or do that type of thing to help you spread the word in those organizations. But we don't know what they are, and you're already in the trenches. So let us know what they are, and we'd be happy to lend a hand, send you articles, really assist you in doing that work.
Yes, there are several forums where to sharing any new technology, new development, or any kind of new innovations in terms of software development in automotive or costing. I can share some of the link to you, Carol, if you don't mind. And that will be a forum where lots of automotive guys come in and see what kind of webinars are available. And that might interest them. Yep.
That would be great, because originally when the ISTQB, the International Software Testing Qualifications Board started, it started in automotive with software testing, and it spread very, very well. And we now have, I think, over 1 million ISTQB certified software testers, but it started out in automotive in Germany. So yeah, I'll put my email address in the chat, and reach out to any of us and we'll share it around, and that's what we do best. And Pierre, I'd like to say thanks for sharing this and sharing your time and your energy to lead this initiative and bring everything together, and being the president of IceBags and the chair of the benchmarking committee within IFPUG, and just being all around great prophet. And as well, Charlie Tishner, you've been just completely a yeoman in terms of doing the work. So thank you to both of you and everybody else who's been part of it.
Thank you, Carol, and I know how devoted you are in this area. So, and it was a long time since we met the first time. I think it was in Florida for an IFPUG conference there. And I also put my email address. So if you can send the links to me as well.
Sure.
And we will be working with that both from the IceBag side, and I will be working with this from the IFPUG side at the committee that I'm responsible for, the Business Application Committee, because we want to get we have to reach out on the more higher level of the usage of metrics, not go down and focus on the details, how you are counting, because that's the next, that's a lower, the next step to do. First, you have to realize that you can use metrics and that there are metrics available and information. Then how to do it, that's the next question, and that will be the more specialized guys doing that. But first of all, we have to get the manager aware of this information that they can get, and the facts that they can get, so they can make more more reliable and better decisions based on that. And especially in the automotive sector, as you mentioned, because the application or the IT part of a vehicle is growing year by year. It's it's always like you need to have control over that. So they have control over the production of parts, etc. But they don't have any good way of having control over the IS part, information system part. And we need to help them with that and give them the tools that they can have and the methods that they can use. But they have to be aware of that first. And that's a little bit like Carol said, you have to go out to new sectors and new type of people and spreading the word about this. And I've done it myself here in the Nordic regions, and I have had in journals, had publications there, and I've been going to conferences and seminars that are not directly IT related. And I talked with people in different parts of the companies and showing them that they can use metrics like this to come up with a better result and decisions.
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
So thank you all for attending this webinar. It's recorded, so we will show it later on. Let's see if I can. And if you're interested, just contact me or IFPUG directly, or you can contact the IFPUG as well if you're not a member there and get some information. And thank you, Carol, for your valuable input here at the webinar.
Welcome to everybody that's joining from all around the world. Lydia, welcome and stay safe in the Ukraine. Glad you're here.
Yeah. And now it's soon 3 o'clock and sunset here in Sweden. We have very short days. It's sunrise about 8 o'clock and sunset about 3 o'clock. So, yeah. Thank you all.